Live streamed. Okay. Lily B is here. We'll say hi, and if she wants to say hi, that's okay.
Hi,
Good
Lily.
morning, everyone. Hi, walking into
It's
work.
like you're walking down a hospital aisle.
There you go. That's it.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So good to see you.
Thank you. We remove this, but it's not allowed.
Here comes Lois. So, okay, everybody knows who they're evaluating. That's nice.
Who's the timer?
Randolph. And he knows the
Fantastic.
trick. You put the raise your hand and it sticks you in the corner so we can find him. We like that. Randolph should
Okay,
read
good morning, everyone.
himself.
All right, it is now 7 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. And it is time for our Earlybird Toastmasters meeting. I am Randolph Bastine, your Sergeant at Arms. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence, and personal growth. As we continue to meet by Zoom, we ask that you practice good Zoom etiquette and by keeping yourself muted unless you're an active speaker. We ask that we encourage you to use the chat feature and send a message to everyone and a private message or feedback to the speaker. And now it's my honor to introduce to you all our presiding officer, President, Toastmaster Pablo Baroni.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Thank you. Good morning. Buongiorno from beautiful Italy. I hope you can hear me better today. I moved to another room. Hopefully the acoustic is better. It's a smaller room. It should be better. Good morning. Good morning. Let's turn the lectern back to Toastmaster Bastine for the invocation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, the invocation will be in the Christian tradition from the book of Psalms. In you, O Lord, do I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. In your righteousness, deliver me and rescue me. Incline your ear to me and save me. Be to me a rock of refuge to which I may continually come. You have given me the command to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. Now, if everyone can stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah.
Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Before we move forward, I want to welcome our guest. I see that we have a guest. Let me see if I can get it right. Julie Rahaman.
Yes.
Did I pronounce correctly? All right, thank you. Thank you. Welcome. In a few minutes, we're going to have a chance to introduce yourself. I just wanted to welcome. Let's hear now from Toastmaster Gene Gold with the joke of the day, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was Mr. Ryan's funeral, and the pallbearers were carrying the casket out from the church. And when they bumped into a pillar, they heard a moan from inside the casket. Well, they opened the casket and found Mr. Ryan was still alive. Well, God be praised. he lived for another 10 years, and he died again. Or at least he thought he did. So they had another funeral. They put him in the casket. The pallbearers were carrying him out. And Mrs. Ryan jumped up and said, "Watch out for that pillar."
Thank
Excellent.
you, thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster God. Thank you. Great delivery. Now let's hear from the grammarian, which is going to introduce us the word of the day. And let's use the word of the day in a self-introduction. Let's do our best. The grammarian of the day is Toastmaster leader Richmond. Please.
Mr. Presiding Officer, fellow Toastmasters, the word of the day is duplicitous. Now, when I first heard this word, I thought it had something to do with my copier. And it sort of does, but it means deceptive, two-faced, double-dealing. So there is a copy part of that. But it's a misleading, sneaky, underhanded, devious, shifty. I mean, there's a lot of bad things. I don't think that word applies to any of the Earlybird Toastmasters unless they're telling tall tales. Duplicitous is the word of the day. Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you. Toastmaster Richmond, duplicitous. All right. Let's move to the self-introduction, starting with the Sergeant Arms, Toastmaster Bastien.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and any most welcome guests. I am Toastmaster Bastien, Motivational Strategies Level 2, and outside of Broadway for the movies, I really don't like any type of duplicity or hypocrisy. Back to you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastien. Ryan, there on the right of you, I see on my screen, Toastmaster Queen, please.
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and Julie, our beautiful guest of the morning. My name is Tom Quinn here in Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to be your table topic master, so get ready. I'm going to strike like lightning, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you. Let's hear now from Toastmaster Barkley, please.
Yes, greetings from Franklin, North Carolina. The people who marketed this cottage I'm in were not duplicitous. It is quite extravagant. But I'll be gone in a month. But it's fun. Good to be here, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Barkley. And let's hear now from Jose Ferreira from Spain.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guest. This is Jose Ferrer coming to you from Madrid, Spain, where it's sunny and cool. And duplicitous is a word that I remember from a movie, Duplicity. And the guy kind of like became one and another and another and another, and there were like 18 of them. That I don't like to do. Back to you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ferreira. And now let's hear from someone who knows you very well, Toastmaster Anna Ilsen.
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. My name is Anna Ilsen, Innovative Planning Level 3. I don't appreciate duplicity in friends. I prefer people that what I see is what I get. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ilsen. Right above you, my screen is Toastmaster Richmond.
Mr. Presiding Officer, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Yeah, there's nothing duplicitous about me. What you see is what you get. Anna, I'm with you on that. And I really have a hard time dealing with duplicitous people because, man, you know, you have to take people for what they are or what they present to you. And when they mislead you, it's not a good thing. I am Alita Richmond coming to you from Southwest Pennsylvania, where it is right now 72 degrees. The fall is in the air. Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richmond. Let's see now for Toastmaster Pam Scrimshaw.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. My fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, I am Pam Scrimshire. I am working in engaging humor and the strategic motivation pathways, although it doesn't seem that I'm making much progress. And I actually like duplicity. I'm just not very good at it. I tend to speak my mind, but I am working at being a little bit more subtle. So who knows? Maybe I am Pam, maybe I'm not. Some days I am, you never know. Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's hear now from Crystal Toastmaster. Crystal, please.
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. You know, I'm kind of with Pam. I'm impressed with people who are capable of being duplicitous. Last year during the COVID lockdown, I binged all of that series called Homeland. And it took a while before you even knew who were the good guys and the bad guys, because their whole job was to be duplicitous. And I just am in awe when people can do that. Mr. President.
Thank you. Let's hear from Toastmaster Jingle, please.
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I'm competent Toastmaster Jim Gould, and here in this world of Zoom, it's very easy to be duplicitous because we can be in one place or another at any given time. So it's easy. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gould. Let's hear now from Toastmaster Mary Rock from the beautiful beach somewhere.
Buongiorno, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. My name is Marie Rock. I am a Visionary Communicator 5, and I am careful to match my words with my actions to avoid duplicity. Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rock. Let's hear now from our newest member, Toastmaster Louis Lane, please. Toastmaster Louis Lane, maybe you're muted, or there's something wrong with the mic. So can you hear us? It doesn't appear to be muted, but we can't hear you. Can you hear us? Hello? All right, let's give.
Okay, now. I'm having a really hard time.
Are you also your?
All right, no.
I think you're also your cellular. Turn off your cellular. I'm gonna give you 1 or 2 minutes. In the meantime, let's hear from our guest, and then we go back to you. Please, Julie, introduce yourself. Toastmaster Julie.
Good morning, Mr. President and fellow Toastmasters. I am thrilled to be Kip's guest here this morning. I deal in my authentic self, and it is difficult to be duplicitous. I can't hold a lie. I can't bluff. I hope no one challenges me in a game of poker because I will lose. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Julie. We look forward to hearing your speech later. Let's try again with Toastmaster Louise Lane. I don't see her anymore. Okay. Lily B, another guest. Please introduce yourself. Okay. Toastmaster Louise Lane, can you hear us? Would you like to try again? Okay, later. My name is Paolo Barone. I am the presiding officer of this amazing Toastmasters club, Earlybird Toastmasters, one of the best Toastmasters club in the world. I'm coming to you via Zoom from the hill of the Italian boot, from Puglia, right at the end of the boot, close to Greece. And my wife is working really hard to distract me. Too bad you can smell, but I can smell tomato sauce that's been boiling there for a couple hours. The whole room here, I have a hard time to to function, but I'm going to do my best. All right, let's move into the core of the meeting with the Toastmaster of the day, which today is Anna Ilsen. Toastmaster Anna Ilsen. Wow, we're going to have a great meeting today. Please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Our meeting format is made up of 3 parts. First comes table topics, where we practice impromptu speaking. Next come our prepared speeches, and today we have 3 of them, one from a guest speaker. We're all looking forward to hearing Toastmaster Julie. And finally, we have what many consider the most valuable part of Toastmasters, which are the evaluations, where some of our people who have signed up to evaluate will hold up a loving mirror to our speakers to tell them what areas they need working on or improvement on, what they have done well, and just help them along in their quest for better speaking. We have people that will help us along to have a smooth meeting. So we have an counter who is Toastmaster Jim Gould. Would you please tell us what you're planning to do today, Toastmaster Gould?
Okay, yeah, I have some plans. I will be your counter today, and the job of an counter is to listen, and that's difficult for me sometimes because I get so distracted. But for the ahs and the ers and the you knows and the filler words and the things like that, and I'll have a ding here that I can remind you. Can you hear that? Okay,
Yeah.
so if I hear an an or something like that, I might just put that little ding on, but I can only do that if I'm the only one sharing. But I'll keep count and we'll have a little report at the end. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gould. Next, we have a grammarian, Toastmaster Alita Richmond. Would you tell us what you're going to do?
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, as grammarian, first of all, I presented the word of the day, duplicitous, but my duties are to listen intently and note the use of lively and good language, and also to call attention to improper or incorrect grammar without pointing out the offender, and give a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. At this time, we will acknowledge our timer, Toastmaster Randolph Bastine, who has raised his hand so that he's always positioned in the same location of the screen, so he's easy to acknowledge. With that, I will introduce our topic master of the day, Toastmaster Tom Quinn. Toastmaster Quinn?
Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am the table topic master this morning, and my job is to pick topics and to then call on a member for a spontaneous discussion. I need to know the time requirements for these victims of mine. So, Mr. Timer, could you please tell us the time requirements for table topics this morning?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Table Topic. The timing requirements today is for the table topics are 1 to 2 minutes with a 30-second deviation, only at the end to qualify. I will turn on the green at 1 minute, and 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will turn on the amber light, and at 2 minutes, the screen will turn red, and at 2 minutes and 45, it will start blinking. That is time to, you're going over, so let's qualify everyone. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Tabletop.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. Everybody understands what the game is. My job is to pick a topic, which I will announce, and then to select one of the members here to participate. I won't pick anybody who's doing speeches or evaluations because they've already got some pretty heavy jobs to take care of. The purpose of table topics is to give people who are not talking or evaluating an opportunity to communicate, to participate, and to speak extemporaneously. That's a big word. It's a duplicitous word, extemporaneous, but as extemporaneously as I can say it. I'm going to first pick Lois Lane. Lois Lane.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on the phone. Something wrong with my speakers.
I understand. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes.
Okay, perfect.
What is the word?
The right stuff, Lois. I want you to talk about the right stuff.
Oh, that's a great word. I have the right stuff in my head to speak at Toastmasters, and I'm gonna do it because I'm a newcomer and I want to learn how to speak and be a motivational person. Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you very much, very much. The next one I'm going to ask the presiding officer, Paulo, the brass ring, the brass ring.
Mr. Table Toastmaster, thank you so much for this question. Then, whatever rings. That's such a deep question. I just wish I understood the word, but I did it. And I'm not going to ask you to repeat the word again because the duty of a Toastmaster is to listen very carefully, pay attention, and try to understand. I was paying attention. It just for some reason was a new word to me, so I couldn't understand. But I understood the second word, ring. Yes, that was really easy, ring. Like ringing a bell. The first one, I don't know, it wasn't even a difficult word. It's just a word I wasn't familiar with. It started with a B and then ring. Oh, I wish I understood the word. What can I do? Maybe my English is getting worse. I've been here for, it's been already a month. I don't speak that much English. I don't listen that much English. I'm getting really rusty in my listening, my speaking. What can I do? I try to pay more attention next time. I hate to disappoint you, Mr. Table Toastmaster. I know, especially coming to you, such a question, because you always do such a great job with the table topics, with this deep question. And I really hate today to disappoint you, because I was ready to give you an amazing answer, instead of going on and not say anything, just waiting for the red light to come. Because as you know me, I don't stop until the red light. Back to you, Mr. Table Toastmaster.
Well done. Well, Paulo. Magnifico, Paulo. All right. The next is for our Machiavelli, Kip Barkley. To make hay, Kip Barkley.
Oh, to make hay while the sun shines. Yes, that's an idiom. It is. And the idea is when the opportunity is there to do it, go for it, whatever it is offered to you. And I find it very helpful to have a list of things I would like to do should the opportunity show up. So I am ready for the opportunity. And I can get a bunch of things done that way. Really neat, really neat. Just have to be alert and aware and, hey, I want to do that. And there's a chance. That is how I make hay while the sun is shining. And it works, I tell you, it works. Oh, let me see. Oh, I was thinking way back when I worked for the government, at the end of the year, you have to have the annual money burn, because if you don't spend your budget, you don't get the money next year. So you keep a list of things you want, and the last couple weeks of the year, you go out and buy all the stuff to burn up the money that, well, you don't want to lose the money, and you're going to use it for good projects. That's making hay. That's government strategy for bureaucracy. I used to live in that world, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well done, Mr. Barkley, Toastmaster Barkley. Very, very good. Very entertaining. I like the way you pulled in the government, but you didn't work in the word duplicitous, which is a part of the deal. Now for my next victim, the delightful, the multi-spirited, the charismatic Anna Ilson. For Anna, neither fish nor fowl, neither fish nor fowl.
Mr. Table Topics Master, I am humbled by your hopefully not duplicitous introduction of me. And I am also mesmerized by these challenging table topics for those of us who have practiced ESL, namely English as a second language. I have never heard of these idioms before. What was the one you asked me right now?
Neither fish nor fowl.
Neither fish nor fowl. This is a good one for people who are picky eaters. Many children nowadays are. Back in the days, in the olden times, as they say, children had to eat whatever was placed in front of them, or there would be big, big trouble. But now I see in my grandkids, they don't like this, they don't like that, they want the other, they want this particular little fast food restaurant. For them, it's neither fish nor fowl. It's pizza, chicken fingers, very healthy food. So neither fish nor fowl is no longer the name of the game for children nowadays. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I have one last one, and it is for Jim Gould. Jim, flat-footed, Jim Gould.
Mr. Table Topics Master. I suppose the whole thing would be to be caught flat-footed. Flat-footed is just a very short idiom, and it's sort of where you can't get away from things, I would think, because your feet are flat on the ground, and if they're flat on the ground, you can't move very quickly. So you have to be fleet of foot. You must be quick, like a marsupial, and be able to bounce around to get away from problems. So if you're caught flat-footed, then you can't get away. What are you to do? Well, you could go to an orthopedic surgeon and get some work done on your feet, perhaps. That would perhaps cure your flat-footedness. But I'm not sure that's where the idiom was going. I would have to ask my boss, because she just knows the answer to everything. And I'll have to work on that, because being duplicitous, I don't want to be caught flat-footed when I can just get away very quickly. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Beautifully done. Well done. I want to thank all of us, all of you participants. You did a great, great job. Mr. Timer, could you please tell us the qualifications? Did all of the contestants, the victims, qualify?
Well, we had one contestant that didn't qualify, but I'll go over the timing now. we have Toastmaster Lois Lane with 33 seconds. Toastmaster Paulo Barone with 2 minutes and 1 second. Distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley with 1 minute and 25 seconds. Toastmaster Anna Ilson with 1 minute and 30 seconds. And Toastmaster Jim Gould with 1 minute and 31 seconds. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. All right, we need to vote and vote often and pick who you think is the winner of the contest of the table topics. And I turn it back over to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. That was quite unique. Now we will recess. Please send little notes to your best or your favorite table topic speaker, commenting on their table topics. And now we will recess for 3 minutes to get organized for our prepared speeches. Would you set the timer for 3 minutes? Toastmaster Bastine, thank you.
Yes.
All right. We have 3 5 to 7 minute speeches. Kip Barkley evaluates Jose Ferreira, Chris School evaluates Pam Scrimshire, and Marie Rock evaluates Julie Rahman. And everybody sent in their introductions, and it's all on the website. And there's a neat way to print that out on the website where you have just the introductions. I'll show people that if they don't know it sometime. All
Okay,
right,
I don't know it, so I
I
hand
don't know
wrote
it
the
either.
one.
Yeah. Where is it? Up at the top, there's a bunch of icons. One is a person. And if you step through there, if you go all the way through, you'll print the program, but somewhere it says print introductions. And it puts each one on a single page in big print, so people like me can read it. It's handy.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, one time when I was Toastmaster, I discovered that ability to print the introductions. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Works well.
That's a good background, Chris. I mean, I know it's just what's there, but it looks really, yeah.
Yeah, I have all sorts of fancy backgrounds, but I like this real one.
Yeah.
That is a world map on our wall, and we have push pins every place we've been.
Right.
Wow.
And I have to get more push pins.
All right.
Hey,
Kip,
Jim,
can I ask you a question? Sorry.
Sure.
I can see everybody on the Zoom and hear everyone, but when it's time for me to speak, they cannot hear me.
Yes, we can.
Now we can.
Well, now I'm on my phone, but on my computer. On my computer, I hear everyone except me.
Something's not turned on.
Yeah, there's something
there's a
with the
setting.
microphone setting.
Okay, thanks. I got to take one call while I'm waiting, all right?
All right.
Thanks.
We're our 3 minutes. It's time to go
Okay.
back to the meeting.
Just real quick, Jim, I'm going
Yeah.
to be doing screen share.
All right,
Thanks.
you got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Calling the meeting back to order. Welcome back, everybody. We will now go into our prepared speeches. Mr. Timer, Toastmaster Bastine, would you tell us the timing requirements, please?
Yes, I believe we have all speeches are 5 to 7 minutes today as the timing for the timer requirement. I'm sorry, at 5 minutes, you'll get the green light. And at 2 minutes before, you'll get the green light at 5 minutes. At 6 minutes, you'll get the amber light. And then at 7 minutes, you'll get the red. And after 45 seconds, you'll get the flashing lights. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Tabletop.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Our first speaker today is speaking from Engaging Humor, Level 3. Engage your audience with humor. Toastmaster Jose Ferreira will offer us a magic carpet ride intertwined with personal adventures. The title of his speech is 21st Century Marrakesh Express. Welcome, Toastmaster Jose Ferreira.
Thank you. And my name is Jose Ferrer, and today, choo-choo, choo-choo, all aboard. We're off to the Marrakesh Express. For those of you who don't remember, that was
we
a
have
song.
the wrong screen, Jose.
Okay.
We're seeing your file list.
Okay. Let me try that again. How about that?
That's good.
All
That'll
right.
do.
So we're off to the Marrakesh Express. And so all aboard. Well, today getting there is not on a train. It's not on a camel. It's on Ryanair. Ryanair is a low-cost carrier in Europe where basically you get on with your shirt and your pants, and that's about all they let you take on. Everything else you've got to pay for, including beverages, baggage, etc., etc., etc. But they do have a really nice flight that arrives into Marrakesh, and what you're looking there is the actual city of Marrakesh, which is in the middle of the desert. Now, the stores in Marrakesh, you've got a Medina. It's called the Medina, and that's the old section of town. It's a pretty large Medina. Within the Medina, there's hundreds and thousands of stores, and they got all these trinkets and things and all over the place, and they take everything down at night. And I don't know where they store it because there's no store behind what you're looking at, but they actually put it all back up in the morning. So imagine every day taking that down and then in the morning putting it back up. Unbelievable. The trading post. Now, those of you that remember Caravanserai, that name and that album from Santana talked about, the camels and all that. This is the plaza, the trading post by nature. For thousands of years, the camels would converge here. The plaza is called Yama al-Afna. And there, what you see today is people trading back and forth on things. You also see the snake charmers. You see the music people playing on the different musical instruments. It's a phenomenal place. And what you look at over here, if you can see my cursor, that is the minaret from a very famous mosque. Well, 5 times a day, they call out, you hear it, the city stops, people go there, take their shoes off, walk in. Men go in one door, women go out the door in another door. They cannot mingle inside, and the place kind of becomes quiet, except for the tourists. Then everybody else, 15, 20 minutes later, comes back out, and the bustle and hustle starts again. I wonder what things are like today in this plaza with COVID. Do they wear masks? Do they keep the distance? I doubt it. I really don't believe so. The sights and smells are unbelievable. From the moment you get there, your smells are sometimes pleasurable and sometimes not so pleasurable. But it is a phenomenal, overwhelming situation for all your senses. It really is an unbelievable experience. Now, imagine how I got there the first time. I went with my wife and two friends. Now, I hadn't been there since I was very young. I was in my 20s the first time. This next time we went, we took good old Ryanair and we got into Marrakesh at about 10:15 p.m. I had called ahead to the hotel. It was inside the Medina. We wanted to stay inside. We didn't want to be in a real nice plush hotel outside. We wanted to live the experience. Well, they picked us up at the airport. They took us in. And of course, the Medina, there's no car. The cars don't fit. What you got in there is you got people walking. You've got people on, donkeys. And occasionally you have somebody on a scooter, which is really kind of a letdown. But they stopped. The van stopped at one of the main entrances. And there, this man came over with a little cart, took our baggage. He spoke no English. He must have been like 80 years old. And he took our bags and he took off into the Medina. Now, the Medina is built in such a way so people who are not familiar with it will get lost and you will not find your way out of there. I know a friend who's still living there. But he took us in through this streets, which of course all the stores were closed. There was nothing, and it was very lonely. He was running ahead. I was in the middle, and my two friends and my wife are kind of like hanging out behind. And I'm like, "Can you guys catch up? Because this guy's taking turns here and there, and we don't know where we're going." And it got scarier and scarier and scarier. Well, he eventually took us to the door of our hotel. It was down this really nasty alleyway. Inside, it was a beautiful, beautiful place. It's called a riad. There are small palaces that have been turned into hotels. Wonderful. Next morning, when we got up and came out, that's when the whole explosion of sights and sounds and smells came about. That's what we're looking back. It's like going back 1,000 years in time. If you want to time travel, forget Outlanders. Go to Marrakesh. You will go back in time 1,000 years just by taking that flight in and going into the Medina. The great sights, great foods. Well, here you go. You've got couscous. Couscous is a great dish. And what my lovely daughter is holding here is called a pastella. Wonderful dish made with chicken or doves. It depends. We're in Morocco. A lot of cinnamon and some walnuts and nuts. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. And Marrakesh is really an adventure in time. That's the walls of the Medina, and those are the Atlas Mountains behind. So I cannot encourage you more. The funny part of this story will come in the next travel log. Back to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jose. That was wonderful. And the best part is that we'll remember it. Those of us who took the Marrakesh Express back in the 60s or whenever it was, don't remember. Okay. Our next speaker is also working from Engaging Humor. Her project is Descriptive Language. In 1964, Toastmaster Pam Scrimshire went to the New York World's Fair. She was amazed at the spectacles, especially the Vatican display of Michelangelo's Pietà. Seeing its beauty and majesty began her lifelong love of all things marble. She remains in awe of an artist's ability to make stone look alive. This morning, Toastmaster Scrimshire will expound on contributions to her life from an even older World's Fair. Perhaps these things have also had an impact on your life, whether you have been to an exposition or not. The title of her speech is Made in America. Please welcome Toastmaster Pam Scrimshire.
At every early birds meeting, we Americans recite the Pledge of Allegiance. But why? Madam Toastmaster, my fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, it's all due to Christopher Columbus. Yes, Christopher Columbus, the man who formerly was known as the discoverer of the New World. His feet was feted with parades and honored with a federal holiday, the second Monday in October. Now, Columbus Day is celebrated by some, ignored by others, and even turned into Native American Day by a few. But in 1891, Chicago persuaded Congress to declare that it should host the World's Columbian Exposition to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Columbus's arrival in the New World. Chicago was hoping to show that it wasn't just some old cow town that had burned down to the ground in 1871. The city leaders wanted to attract new businesses and new residents. They believed a World's Fair was just the showcase they needed. They lobbied Congress. Perhaps some money crossed their palms. Maybe they were duplicitous. But after many votes, Chicago beat out New York and St. Louis to host what has been called the Chicago World's Fair. Now, when it opened in 1893, it covered 600 acres with more than 200 buildings built especially for this extravaganza. 46 nations had pavilions where they displayed their culture and art, including Norway, that sent a replica Viking ship across the Atlantic to the World's Fair. Now, today, those buildings are gone and the place is a park. But we do have things left from the World's Fair, and I'm going to talk about three of them: the word Midway, the Ferris wheel, and our Pledge of Allegiance. I had always assumed a midway was so named because the carnival rides and the shows were midway between the animal tents and the stadium for performing acts at all the different state fairs. No, the Midway got its name from a place in Chicago called the Midway Plaisance, a park that divides Hyde Park community from Woodlawn community. At the 1893 World's Fair, a young entrepreneur decided this is where he would set up all the shows. This was for money. He did it not out of the goodness of his heart, but along this 1 mile area, he had stages where visitors could see dwarf elephants and two-headed pigs. They could watch Harry Houdini get out of his manacles. They could hear Scott Joplin play the piano. And for a slight additional charge, guests could see more risque shows, such as the dancer Little Egypt doing the hoochie coochie. By the way, she's danced to a song created by an American songwriter that we now associate with those snake charmers in Marrakesh. Da, 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 da. You know that song. The visitors drank fizzy sodas and ate hamburgers. So therefore, now we think of Midway as a carnival. Unfortunately, they couldn't see Buffalo Bill Cody and Annie Oakley on Midway because that act couldn't come to terms with the entrepreneur. No matter, Buffalo Bill just set his rodeo up outside the fair boundaries and proceeded to sell tickets to the fair visitors before they got to the official entrance. A true American entrepreneur. We have Ferris wheels because of the Columbian Exposition. The organizers of the fair needed something big to symbolize American technology and innovation. A tower wouldn't do. Paris had already built the Eiffel Tower at their World's Fair 2 years earlier in 1889. So even if the Chicago Tower would be taller, it was a copy. What to do? The organizers challenged the American Society of Engineers to come up with something, and George Washington Gale Ferris Jr. did. A graduate of Rensselaer Polytech Institute, like our own Kip Barkley, Mr. Ferris was a bridge builder who understood how to use steel. The Chicago wheel, as it was called, was huge. Its wheels were 250 feet in diameter. It had 36 passenger cars that could hold up to 60 people each. For 50 cents, one got 2 whole revolutions, which took about 20 minutes. This magnificent structure was dismantled and then rebuilt in Lincoln Park. It was dismantled again and moved to St. Louis for the 1904 World's Fair. Sadly, it was demolished in 1906. Now we have Ferris wheels at our local fairs and our carnivals. When we're sitting with our sweetie in that swinging little seat at the top of the ride, we hope those traveling Ferris wheels are well maintained by the carnies who erected it. And the third thing we have from the 1893 Columbian Exposition is our Pledge of Allegiance. For those of us who grew up in America and attended public elementary schools, we just assumed that all children recite a pledge to their country. Not so. This is truly an American phenomenon. Other countries have national anthems like the United States does, but I couldn't find any examples of pledges made by the citizens of those countries. America does seem exceptional in this. Our pledge was created by Francis Bellamy, a Christian socialist and a Baptist minister. In 1892, he published it in the Youth Companion magazine and suggested that it be taught to all school children to be used at the celebration of the 400th anniversary of Columbus' arrival. It soon became a daily recitation in our schools. The original pledge was slightly different than what we currently use. Bellamy wrote, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." In 1923, the National Flag Convention added "of the United States of America," just to be sure we knew to which flag we were pledging our allegiance. And then in 1954, fearing communists behind every tree, Congress got into the act and added the words, "under God." Francis Bellamy's daughter objected to the change. I wonder, would our country be less at war with ourselves if we recited just "one nation, indivisible"? My fellow early birds, next Monday, whether you celebrate or ignore Columbus Day, change it to Native American Day. Remember, the Midway, the Ferris wheel, and our pledge all owe their existence to Christopher Columbus. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Scrimshire. Very informative and educational speech. Write your notes to the speakers, by the way. They like that. Our third and final speaker today is a guest speaker. We're very happy to have her here. Toastmaster Julie Rahaman is speaking from Dynamic Leadership, Level 1, Researching and Presenting. Imagine a world where you were asked to stop meeting in person, where you needed to conduct business through your electronic devices. You can't have in-person meetings, conversations over dinner and drinks, and you can't simply give someone a hug or even a high five. Just imagine that. The title of her speech is Hurdling Virtual Presence. Toastmaster Julie Rahaman.
Am I in the lead? Am I falling behind? I cannot describe the feelings I feel hurdling this virtual existence the past 20 months. It is competitive, it is grueling, and I've got to say that I didn't pass every hurdle behind me. Some of them fell. I'm probably disqualified, but I'm here to tell you some things I've learned while hurdling my virtual presence. It's not easy. We're going to cover some tips and tricks that I found out through some of my peers and coworkers, but also some really tough experiences I faced when hurdling virtual presence. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, will you go on the hurdling with me? Or at least stand on the sidelines and watch? I'd like to discuss the three major things I learned when trying to hurdle my virtual presence. The first one is audio. Everyone will tell you that audio is extremely important when you are exuding a virtual presence, whether in a conference, happy hour, virtual happy hour, etc., meeting family. Audio is key. Let me tell you why. Learners listen first. They also see the visuals on the screen, but believe it or not, if your audio is choppy, if we can't hear you, if you go in and out, you've lost your audience. I'll say that again. If you can't hear me, I've lost you. Another important thing about audio that no one tells you is you have to plan for audio distractions. A lot of us are working from home, me especially, and I've got to tell my coworkers that include my furry friend, my spouse, as well as other family members that walk into the room. I've got to let my coworkers know I'm in a meeting, I'm in a presentation. Please don't howl at the mail person. Please don't bark at the Amazon delivery guy. And if you're wondering who I'm referring to, I'm talking about my dog, Nico. Just wanted to set the stage there. Let your coworkers know that you're in a meeting or you're in a conference room. They don't know. Plan for your distractions. Maybe some of you may have to pick up kids later. If you're going to have a presentation in the morning as opposed to the afternoon, to accommodate your schedule. There are distractions that we cannot avoid. So another tip I would say, if you can't plan for your distractions, is let people know. Hi, everyone. I've got a dog who's currently barking at the mailman, but I'll keep myself on mute until I present. Letting them know to plan for those audio distractions that otherwise would deter your message. I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked what I'm having for lunch while I'm in the middle of a conference room. I cannot tell you how many times where they hear an airplane, they hear a train, they hear an automobile as I'm talking and presenting. Those things cannot be planned for. But again, if you plan for those distractions and you share with your audience ahead of time, you'll be in better shape. The next tip I'd like to share is your video. Your video is what matters as well. If audio is important, video is just as important. And let me tell you why. We cannot present in person. I considered myself a very strong presenter when Toastmasters was face-to-face. I could engage an audience with my gestures and my body language. I relied on that to convey an effective message. Now I don't have any of those things. I have a small square where I need to present and effectively communicate a message to a large global audience at times. Some tips and tricks I learned that they don't tell you. If you attend a meeting or a conference and you do not speak, keeping your video on still exudes virtual presence. And it's recommended to keep your video on when you can. Another thing they don't tell you is that if you do have those unplanned distractions and your video is shaky for whatever reason, please go ahead and take video off. Remember, the golden rule is you want to convey the messages they see and hear. You wouldn't want to accidentally or mistakenly convey messages you don't want them to hear or see. We've saw a lot of news clips recently about people who may have not been dressed fully from head to toe on what professional attire should look like. I ask you to wear what you would wear in a conference room or in a meeting room. Wearing that outfit puts you in a mindset on video, as well as showing and exuding a professional and virtual strong presence. Another thing they don't tell you is eye contact. I have a set of eyes right above my camera, and those eyes I am looking at now. Human behavior forces us to look at ourselves when we're on video. Ironically, if we do look at ourselves while we're on video, we're not looking at our audience. And if I'm not giving you eye contact, you are not listening. We talked about audio, we talked about video, but let's talk about the holistic, bigger picture. There are other things that can exude virtual presence that we learn by, in my case, fire. I'm an instructional designer for corporate organization. And I pivoted very quickly to engage learners only on a virtual platform. I learned that the background matters. I learned that the distance between me and the camera matters. Ways that you can exude your virtual presence is to check your background. See, does it lend itself to your personality? Does it distract? Does it convey the message for the tone of the meeting or conference or gathering? Use your background to convey your personality, convey your message. Use all the tools in front of you. Another thing I'd like to share, which is a secret, is that we know when people are doing duplicitous behavior. They won't ever tell you, but people do notice if you're looking at your cell phone, if you're clicking through websites. Please make sure to follow these tips that I've shared with you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. What a great lineup of speeches we've had today. Mr. Timer, how did our speakers do?
All speakers qualify. First, Toastmaster Jose Ferreira, 6 minutes and 49 seconds. Toastmaster Pamela Scripture with 7 minutes, just making it 44 seconds. And Toastmaster Julie Rowe Hammond with 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Thank you. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Please vote for your favorite speaker. Okay, and with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our general evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley.
Thank you, Anna. Fellow Toastmasters, here we go for evaluations. They are what make our Toastmasters program so special. But once again, we have timing requirements. Mr. Timer, what are the timing requirements for evaluations?
Thank you, General Toastmaster Kip. Sorry. The timing requirements for evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second deviation. At 1 minute, I will turn on the green light, and 2 minutes, I will turn on the amber light at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and red at 3. And with 45 seconds, you'll get the flashing. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Now to evaluate our first speaker, Jose Ferreira, I introduce Kip Barkley. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Toastmaster Ferreira. A magical carpet ride through Marrakesh. That was fun. I liked your pictures. I liked your slides. Oh, I've been in those bazaars. They are amazing places, amazing. And so I just really like the tour that you gave, and that was the plan, a tour. And on we went, pictures, the smells, the taste. Yes, there's a lot of smells in bazaars, places like that. Loved it. Thank you. Now let me see. We have a multicultural group in our Toastmasters, and I didn't remember where Marrakesh is. I mean, it was a song, okay. I gather Morocco, but so I was a little troubled with where we were, and then the word for bazaar and such, it was something else, and I didn't quite place it. But then I looked. I know what you're doing. It's a bazaar. Yeah, it's wonderful. So just like we had some excitement in table topics with idioms that people said, what? You can't figure that everybody in the room knows where Marrakesh is, remembers this, whether they're years, old or young or what have you. And so, like, starting off with a map and a little airplane zone, and then the desert picture. Okay, I gather it's Morocco. It's in. Good, good, good. Now let's see what else. Things to challenge with. Well, the technology, the way I make PowerPoint behave for me is I open it to the slide I want to start with, and then put Zoom on top of it. So now when I click screen share, there it is, raring to go. And then I have to remember how I advance the slide, because that's a little tricky, but then I am set. But I saw you were charming us, eye contact, clear speech. We were quite interested in all of this. You were quite comfortable. Well, you had some irony in there for humor and all, getting the people moving. But yes, wonderful, magical carpet ride. I thank you for your presentation. I'll send you the written version. Back to Mr. General Evaluator. Thank you, Kip Barkley. Thank you so much. Now, to evaluate our second speaker, Pamela Scripture, is Chris Gould.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, and especially Pam. Pam is one of our pros. Listen and learn. I have actually gone back to our blog where we have every recording and looked at past speeches of Pam to learn the best way to present a speech. She is excellent, and this speech was no exception. I love learning, and this speech gave a lot to learn. She had a lot of information, so she organized it very well, including giving some of her introduction to the Toastmaster to introduce her. Notice she just barely made it under the wire. And if she had had to say that introduction, she would have been over. So take advantage of the introduction was a lesson I just learned from her. She also intrigued us by saying that the Pledge of Allegiance came from Columbus and a World's Fair. What? That grabbed our attention and kept us listening throughout the whole speech, because we wondered, what do you mean? And she brought it back 2 or 3 times. One thing I would have maybe liked to see, since it was such an information dense speech, is some things to help us follow along. I love photos, I don't know if there are any photos of the Chicago World's Fair from 1893, but I know that there's photos of the Ferris wheel on Navy Pier in Chicago, and that just something that might have helped. She had notes. I mean, you could not do this speech with all this much information without notes, but I have a feeling she had them somehow up by her camera, because it wasn't much difference for her to keep eye contact, and that was really good. She brought it all together at the end by telling us that Columbus Day is next Monday, and this is something to remember and to learn about. And I appreciate all of her information. Thanks for your speech, Pam.
And thank you, Chris Gould. Thank you. Now, to evaluate our third speaker, Julie Rahman, is our very own Marie Rock.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially our guest, Julie Rahman. Wow, you pulled us in right from the beginning. As people who are devoted to communication, your introduction gave us the map of what was to come and made us realize how important it was to listen to your message. And I think we can all learn from a good introduction, and yours was excellent. It set the tone. And then, surprise, there you were with your background, with the sweaty headband and the hurdles behind you. And it tied right in, overcoming the hurdles to virtual communication, which is what we're doing right now and which is what we do every week. So the background was fun. And then very wise to make that background go away and just have us focus on you, the communicator. There is a bit of a shadow on your white screen, and I'm sure that lighting can dial that in. The next thing I loved was you promised us tips and tricks. You know, all of us people who enjoyed reading magazines, etc., just tune right in when we hear that tips and tricks. Well, we want to know. We want to know. So that was great. You had some internal summaries, which worked very well with your speech. Your language use was excellent. You used the word of the day. You had some fun and funny examples. I am so glad that it's your dog that howls and not your husband. Wonderful examples. To improve, just some smaller things. One is you use the word, I'd like to discuss. And I think that weakens what your point. I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks that will change your whole virtual communication style. The other thing is when you stand or even when you sit on a taller chair, I think you get more energy and you can project better. Finally, the last suggestion is I felt a little cheated with your ending. Your speech was strong, it was informative, it was engaging, and then all of a sudden it was over. So I was like, what happened? So all in all, I would say, Julie, you have hit your target with your corporate professionals. And if they follow your tips and tricks and examples, you will have some excellent virtual communicators in your company. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marie Rock. Mr. Timer, how did our evaluators do on time?
Thank you. All evaluators qualified. Distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley with 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Toastmaster Chris Gould with 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And Toastmaster Marie Rock with 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Thank you. Back to you.
Great. Don't forget to vote. I like those polls, by the way. Hey, I've got some helpers that help with this meeting here too. How about the Grammarian? What can you tell us about our Talking Well today?
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. First of all, as was pointed out by Kip Barkley during his evaluation, we have a multicultural group. I have to point out that this group, diverse as it is, also has a higher level of vocabulary usage, I believe. And everybody did well. Nothing, I didn't find anything overly exceptional today, but I wanted to point out that everybody used the word of the day in table topics, and all three speakers also used that word of the day. Our Toastmaster, Anna Ilson, she knows how to explain what's going on and does a great job with that. Everybody gave clever responses, even our presiding officer's apologetic, I don't know what the heck you asked me. What kind of ring? A bell? But some of the good things were that I thought Toastmaster Jose Ferreira, his photos spoke a lot of words, and I enjoyed all of those. His descriptions about the snake charmer, that the bustle and hustle starts again were pretty good phrases. In the middle of the desert. Chris Gould in her evaluation also made a good point. Take advantage of the introduction. He's always educating us on these types of things. And Marie Rock's suggestion, rather than I'd like to discuss, to say, I'm going to tell you something. And I think also, who was it, who's Pam and the swinging little seat at the top of the Ferris wheel, I thought was very graphic. So I think everybody used very good grammar. I didn't notice any real hefty mistakes. So there you go. I tried to listen. I did this job because I know I need to listen better. Okay, Mr. General Evaluator, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any Zoom Master comments on how our technology behaved and how people used it? That would be, well, either Randolph or Jim.
So I'll go and say that our guest, Julie, I think you did a awesome speech presenting how to present yourself virtually. So if anyone did have any reserve or questions, I think you kind of answered them all. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Does Jim Gould have anything to add?
I don't think so. I think this was a good meeting. I'm looking around the Hollywood squares and everybody looks pretty good in here. Lois was able to overcome the technology somehow, and she got in with both her phone and her computer finally. I don't know if all of the sound problems have been resolved, but it all worked, and so I think we're all good. Paolo's still in a barrel somehow.
Explain.
He's in the wine cellar.
Chris has something.
Well, I just wanted you to explain how you're doing the bell for the counter. I mean, that's one of my pet peeves of the Zoom platform, is that we lose our Toastmasters dinging on the glass. And I think new Toastmasters do not get taught well enough about Oz. So you have figured out one way.
And I do that with a advanced screen share, and it just allows me to share computer sound as just like, but I have a push button to make these sounds too. So I have an advantage because I have all of the studio tools. It can be done sort of like the virtual background, but it's not easy.
And you can't do it when somebody is screen sharing. So
right, only one
so
shared
it's not a
time.
complete option.
Right. So while Jose was presenting his PowerPoint there, and I want to make a mention that you can make a PowerPoint your virtual background. So if you create a PowerPoint that has the right background, you can be in the screen share as part of it, and it's very effective to do it that way. And yes, here are some pictures of the original Ferris wheel in Chicago. So ask and ye shall receive. All of these things are just the kind of stuff that I like to play with. So back to you.
All right, and then I'll counter. Hey, that's you again. What'd you count?
Okay, that was fun. One question: if I am muted, do you still hear the ding? I'm going to mute. Okay,
Yes.
so that's handy to know. I can mute my own microphone and still have that thing going out. Kip, you had a couple of double clutches. Let me see. Good. That would be a triple clutch or maybe a good cubed. Let's see. Marie had a couple of ums and a There might have been a so in there. Randolph had a few ahs. I counted 4. But overall, we have a wonderful speaking group here, and it's amazing. Back to you.
Thank you. Well, I get to evaluate the whole meeting. Our Toastmaster of the day kept us on track, gracious and prepared, had everything going. Thank you so much, Anna. And then we just do well at this. I would recommend you folks go look at the blog, which is a combination of Anna's recaps of the meetings and the recording of our meetings. So you can see all these wonderful things that are going on. And and you get better when you watch. So they tell me. Okay, let's give this meeting back to the Toastmaster of the day, Anna Ilsen.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And now, Toastmaster Jim Gould, could we have a drum roll, please, so that we announce our awards? Our best table topic speaker for today is none other than you, the drum roller, Toastmaster Jim Gould. Our best evaluator of the day is Toastmaster Marie Rock.
Yay.
And our best speaker of the day is Toastmaster Julie Rahaman. I will now return control of the meeting to our president, Toastmaster Paolo Barone.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anna. It's an amazing job as a Toastmaster of the day. If anyone has any doubt of the quality level of this club, just look at the meeting today. A great table topic session, an amazing lineup of speakers, and amazing constructive evaluations. It was a productive meeting, like every single week. Now, do we have any members' comments? Any announcement? Anything? Toastmaster Julie, what was your impression of the meeting? And thank you again for visiting us and delighting us with your speech.
Oh, Mr. Presiding Officer, what a wonderful way to start my day today with such great speakers and wonderful people. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you. You're always welcome to come back and visit us again and give another speech. We really enjoyed your speech. We learned a lot. Thank you. Toastmaster Barkley, any business going on that you want to announce?
Yes, many things. This Saturday, we have speech contests. We have you competing and Jeffrey Aljo. Do you know how to find, do you have an ID? Can you log into this thing? We would love you to show up. You got that word?
Always welcome to come back and visit us again and give another speech. We really enjoyed your speech. We learned a lot. Thank you. Toastmaster Barkley, any business going on that you want to announce? I don't know what's going on.
We're getting a replay.